Hello and welcome to Foreign Dispatches, the program that takes you around the world in 25 minutes. I'm Teniola Shoboale. On the program this week, 1 month after the military coup in Myanmar, despite facing police crackdown, protesters continue to occupy the streets. Plus, U.S. President Joe Biden promises there will be enough vaccines for every adult by the end of May. It's been over a month now since the military takeover in Myanmar. This week, a number of neighboring countries called on the military government to release detained civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi and cease using lethal force against peaceful anti-coup demonstrators.
Myanmar police opened fire and used water cannon to disperse protests against a military coup on Tuesday, as foreign ministers of neighboring countries, Association of Southeast Asian Nations members held talks with the junta via video call and pressed it to release ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi and stop what Singapore called its disastrous use of lethal force. The foreign minister of Indonesia, which has been pushing a regional diplomatic effort, urged Myanmar to open its doors to the Asian bloc to resolve the escalating tension, but said there was little it could do if it did not.
We met to find solutions, but it takes two to tango. The Association of Southeast Asian Nation members' goodwill cannot be carried out if Myanmar does not open the door to Asian.
The military on its part justified the February 1st coup, saying its complaints of fraud in a November election won by Aung San Suu Kyi's party in a landslide were ignored, even though the Election Commission said the vote was fair. The talks were happening as police fired live ammunition to disperse a crowd in the northwestern town of Cali, where 4 people were wounded. Protesters threw things at advancing police. Hundreds of protesters, many in hard hats and clutching makeshift shields, also gathered in the main city of Yangon, chanting slogans against military rule. Some set up barricades, and police used stun grenades and tear gas. Supporters of democracy have criticized Tuesday's intervention by ASEAN, which has a policy of non-interference in each other's affairs. A committee of ousted Myanmar lawmakers declared the junta a terrorist group and said engaging with it could give it legitimacy. The virtual talks of the 10-member Asian bloc came 2 days after the bloodiest day of unrest since the overthrowing of Aung San Suu Kyi's elected government. More than 20 people have been killed since the coup, and activists say more than 1,100 people have been detained, including 6 journalists.
Meanwhile, supporters marched in several towns and cities in defiance of a crackdown after the bloodiest day since the February the 1st military coup. Ousted civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi appeared at a court hearing via video conference. 2 more charges were added to those filed against her after the coup.
Myanmar's ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi appeared at a court hearing via video conferencing on Monday, March the 1st, a month after the military took over. It was the first time her lawyers had seen her since she was detained. 2 more charges were added to those filed against her after the coup. The Nobel Peace Laureate, who leads the National League for Democracy, has not been seen in public since her government was ousted, and she was detained along with other party leaders. Thousands have taken to the streets over the past month, demanding her release. Suu Kyi was charged with illegally importing 6 walkie-talkie radios and for violating a natural disaster law by breaching coronavirus protocols. The next hearing will be on March the 15th. Meanwhile, the military takeover continues to draw condemnation and sanctions from the United States and other Western countries.
If the Burmese military continues down this path, if the Burmese military refuses to restore the democratically elected government and to cease this abhorrent violence against peaceful demonstrators, there will be additional measures forthcoming from the United States.
Pope Francis also said on Wednesday that the hopes of the people of Myanmar cannot be suffocated by violence, and again called for the release of political prisoners.
Like Nigeria, which received nearly 4 million doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine this week, a handful of West African countries have received COVID-19 vaccines through the COVAX Vaccine Sharing Initiative. COVAX, which is led by the Gavi Vaccines Alliance, along with the World Health Organization and other partners, aims to deliver nearly 2 billion doses to over 90 low and middle-income countries, covering up to 20% of their populations. Ghana, which was the first country in West Africa to receive vaccine doses from the scheme, kicked off its vaccination campaign on Monday with the President and First Lady first in line.
Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo on Monday became the world's first recipient of a coronavirus vaccine from COVAX, a global scheme to procure and distribute inoculations for free for poorer countries. The vaccination process was televised on all media outlets as well as social media platforms to boost confidence in citizens to take the vaccine. First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo also received a shot 1 day before the rest of the 600,000 doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine were deployed across the country. On Tuesday, people lined up outside the regional hospital in the capital, Accra, for the first phase of vaccinations, which prioritizes frontline health workers and others at high risk.
I really feel so good because we are waiting for the vaccine and we are ever ready to receive it. Let me say, we are the people taking care of the patient. So if I've been vaccinated, I think it will help me or it will protect me against the virus or from contacting the virus from the patient.
I feel excited that today marks the beginning of a new journey in the face of this, the fight against this pandemic. I am really very excited to be part of the vaccination process.
Ghana's Food and Drug Authority last month authorized the Indian-made vaccine and Russia's Sputnik V as the government aims to target 20 of its 30 million population by the year's end. The previous week, Ghana was the first country to receive vaccines from COVAX, led by Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, the World Health Organization (WHO), and the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations (CEPI).
We have gone through a series of interventions from testing, tracking, tracing, lockdown, a ban on gathering, closing down schools, reopening schools, and many other events that has taken place in this country. We are into our second wave and hopefully we have seen a downward trend in this second wave. But we have good news. The good news now is that we have a vaccine that also trains the body itself to be able to fight the disease. And so it's a happy occasion that Ghana, being the very first country to be a recipient of the COVAX facility.
Despite the vaccine rollout, all current restrictions to curb the spread of the virus in the country is to remain in place. A second wave has caused cases to surpass 84,000 and there have been nearly 200 deaths in the past month alone.
Ghana's neighbor, Côte d'Ivoire, also kicked off its inoculation campaign on the same day, beginning with frontline healthcare staff and police using the COVID-19 vaccines delivered through the COVAX sharing facility. A week earlier, the country received 504,000 doses of the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine.
More than 100 people waited patiently in line at a sports complex in Trenchville neighborhood in Côte d'Ivoire's commercial capital, Abidjan, early on Monday, March the 1st, to receive the first shots of the vaccines. Patrick Achi, the Secretary General at the presidency, was the first to be vaccinated. Onlookers cheered as a health worker delivered the injection. And security force members are also being vaccinated in the first phase of the campaign, targeting 3% of the population.
We hope there will be more, and it will speed up. We invite the population to come and get vaccinated, because to get vaccinated is a way of breaking the transmission chain.
Seeing the vaccine here is comforting. It is a relief. It will impact on social development because everything has slowed down. Nothing works at the moment. So if today everyone gets vaccinated, we won't be scared anymore. And when the illness is neutralized, things will return to some form of normal.
After vaccinating medical workers, members of the security forces and teachers, in phase 2, people over 50, those with chronic diseases and travelers will be vaccinated. The country has recorded over 32,000 infections and at least 192 coronavirus-related deaths.
Facing mounting pressure on various fronts to gain control of the coronavirus pandemic, U.S. President Joe Biden has placed even more of his administration's hopes in a stepped-up vaccine process, promising that there will be enough vaccine doses for every adult in America by the end of May.
U.S. President Joe Biden on Tuesday said the country was on track to have enough vaccines for every adult by the end of May. That's 300 million doses to be ready 2 months sooner than his original target of the end of July.
One of my first goals in office when I got in office, was to say that there will be 100 million vaccination shots administered in my first 100 days in office. We've got halfway to that goal in 37 days, and I feel confident we'll make it all the way. Things may get worse again as new variants spread and as we face setbacks like recent winter storms in the Midwest and South. But our administration will never take this public health threat lightly. Though we celebrate the news of a third vaccine, I urge all Americans, please keep washing your hands.
Vaccine production is getting a huge boost by a new partnership the president announced, in which pharmaceutical company Merck will help make rival Johnson & Johnson's single-shot COVID-19 vaccine. That means the United States has 3 vaccines available, including Pfizer and Moderna's.
As I've always said, this is a wartime effort, and every action has been on the table, including putting together breakthrough approaches. 2 of the largest healthcare and pharmaceutical companies in the world that are usually competitors are working together on the vaccine. Johnson & Johnson and Merck will work together to expand the production of Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. This is the type of collaboration between companies we saw in World War II. We also invoked the Defense Production Act to equip 2 Merck facilities to the standards necessary to safely manufacture the J&J vaccine. And with the urging and assistance of my administration, Johnson & Johnson is also taking additional new actions to safely accelerate vaccine production.
In his speech on Tuesday, President Biden also stressed the importance of reopening schools, citing growing mental health concerns and the risk of widening disparities caused by the challenges of remote learning, and threw down the gauntlet to local officials.
Let's treat in-person learning like an essential service that it is, and that means getting essential workers who provide that service, educators, school staff, child care workers, get them vaccinated immediately. They're essential workers. Over 30 states have already taken the step to prioritize educators for vaccination. And today, I'm using the full authority of the federal government. I'm directing every state to do the same.
The president then implored Americans to remain vigilant in their fight against the pandemic by abiding with protocols such as wearing face masks.
Things may get worse again as new variants spread and as we face setbacks like recent winter storms in the Midwest and South. But our administration will never take this public health threat lightly. Though we celebrate the news of a third vaccine, I urge all Americans, please keep washing your hands, stay socially distanced, wear masks, keep wearing them, get vaccinated when it's your turn. Now's not the time to let up.
But that advice came on the same day Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued the most sweeping rollback of restrictions of any U.S. state, saying that most businesses in the state may open at full capacity next week and lifting the statewide mask mandates.
After the break on Foreign Dispatches, Israel offers incoming travelers tracking bracelet instead of hotel isolation. Please stay with us. You're still watching Foreign Dispatches on Channels Television. Israel has launched a pilot program to track returning passengers using electronic bracelets that will notify authorities should they violate a compulsory isolation period. This measure would exempt Israelis returning home from abroad from being sent to a state-run isolation facility.
Israelis returning home from abroad have a new option that will exempt them from being sent to a quarantine hotel. They can wear a bracelet monitor that will notify authorities should they violate a mandatory isolation period. The pilot program began on Monday, March 1st, with 100 tracking systems available at Ben Gurion Airport, where traffic has dropped dramatically due to restrictions meant to reduce the risk of COVID-19 variants entering the country.
And I'm the first Israeli to receive this bracelet. I thought that I'm going to be in the hotel for the next 2 weeks, but I had the possibility to be at my home, isolated at my home, and I think that's a very nice idea.
Incoming passengers have been forced to stay at hotels paid for by the government for up to 2 weeks to make sure they are virus-free before they can move around freely. Should someone choose the new system, which includes a slim, lightweight and waterproof bracelet, a smartphone and a wall-mounted tracker, they can self-isolate at home.
It's the new electronic bracelet. It's the good news for the passengers. I think most of them will choose to take the electronic bracelet instead of going to the hotel. They're going to stay at home for 10 or 14 days. It's going to open the sky.
The system alerts the authorities if someone removes the bracelet or ventures too far from the home monitor. Israel is among the world leaders in coronavirus vaccinations per capita and is gradually emerging from a third lockdown. More than half of Israeli population has received a single dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, and about 3.4 million of them have received 2 shots. The country has also rolled out a Green Pass scheme with some services only available to Israelis that have been vaccinated and can prove it using a government app. The passes are valid for 6 months from the time of full vaccination.
So after a year with staying at home in a sort of isolated environment, it feels great to go out and experience in public shows, activities. We like it very much.
This is great because it's been a long time that we didn't go out of the house. It's very good that we can have a great solution to go out with the green passport, so we can feel free to go out and to make some culture. That this is very important for us.
Gyms, swimming pools, theaters and hotels are open to pass holders only. Once inside, strict caps on occupancy and social distancing requirements are enforced. Such programs are likely to be scrutinized by other countries looking to reopen for business as their own populations undergo mass vaccination.
Over in France, residents may soon be able to test for COVID-19 using just their phones. Researchers at the University of Lille are developing a portable COVID-19 test that plugs into smartphones they say can produce faster and more accurate results. Take a look.
Researchers at the University of Lille in France are developing a new portable COVID test that could provide results in just 10 minutes. The prototype Caudal 1 test is the size of a large USB stick and can be plugged into a smartphone.
Somebody has to take a nasal swab of you. You will put directly the sample of the electrode. You can put the telephone on the table, you can have a coffee, ice cream, you can have a shower. 10 minutes later you come back and you put a revelation agent on the interface and you start your mobile phone and a signal will occur, and depending on the height of the signal, you can say if you're COVID positive and negative.
The test works by using tiny antibody particles from the camelids, an animal family, which includes llamas, camels, and alpacas. The nanobodies are grafted into the surface of an electrode. When they come into contact with the COVID-19 virus spike protein, the change in electrical current shows up as a signal on a graph on your phone.
Not only we can use it for COVID detection, but also we can adapt it to any other analytes or biomarkers or bacteria or any other types of detection. And that is very simple. You take this very small sensor, we only change the chemistry. It means the receptor molecule we put on the detector surface. The rest will be exactly the same.
Other quick and portable COVID-19 tests also exist, but some scientists have raised doubts about their reliability. The Caudle 1 test is yet to be approved for use, but initial trials show a 90% accuracy rate compared to the trusted PCR tests, which take longer to deliver results and need lab conditions. The next phase of the project is to run a 3-month trial on more than 1,000 people before manufacturing the device.
Finally, on the program, Dubai-based British artist Sasha Jaffrey recently broke the Guinness World Record for the world's largest art canvas. Now, alongside Dubai Cares Organization, UNICEF and other collaborators, he's trying to raise $30 million to help connect all schools in the world to the internet. Our correspondent, Mayowa Adegoke, tells us all about it.
Renowned British painter Sasha Jaffrey unveils his historic artwork, Journey of Humanity, in the presence of Emirati royalties and VIPs at the Atlantis Ballroom, where he created the masterpiece last year. Measuring about 2,000 square meters, the size of 2 football fields, the painting, now recognized by Guinness World Record as the largest art canvas and biggest social artistic philanthropic project in history, has been divided into 70 panels to be auctioned. Proceeds will be used to help children across the world.
Why aren't we connecting to the soul of the earth and the child inside us? Why? That's my question, and I hope the painting can answer it.
What is the plan? Should children in Nigeria, underprivileged children, expect to benefit from this?
In answer to your question is the pregnant mother. You can only see her head there, but when you get up on the platform, you'll see her stomach. And inside her stomach is artwork from children from over 140 countries of the world. And millions of them are Nigerian.
Nigerian children, many of whom contributed artworks now embedded into Sasha's painting, will benefit from proceeds through the UNICEF and International Telecommunication Union ITU-backed GIGA, a project committed to connecting every school in the world to the internet. An estimated 1.7 billion children and 60 million teachers across the world were affected by disrupted education due to COVID.
We're going to hopefully impose that every country has to have policies for children. As they have the right for education, they have to have a right for connectivity. So whenever there's a large-scale disruption in the future for any reason, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's war, whether it's natural disaster, education does not get disrupted the way it did last March.
This royal unveiling ceremony marks the beginning of another phase for the project.
With the ribbon cut at this royal unveiling, Sasha Jaffrey's Journey of Humanity will now gradually make its way into auction houses across the world to hopefully raise $30 million. The plan is to raise at least $30 million to help children across the globe. From here at the ballroom in Atlantis, Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, Mayowa Adegoke for Channels Television News.
And And this is where we say goodbye till next week. As always, remember our top stories are never far away. You can catch them on channelstv.com. Thank you so much for watching the program. I'm Teniola Shobowale. Stay safe.